What's up YouTube, it's your boy Bernard for reals, and on this video I'm going to be sharing with you guys a book review on my best books from the year 2021. Yo! 2021 was a roller coaster. From like COVID lockdowns to like first vaccinations, new variants being found, even some crazy altcoins blowing up in the crypto space, some really crazy and interesting series being released like Squid Game, down to crazy trends like the Crate Challenge, and the list goes on and on and on and on. But in the midst of all these things going on, there's nothing like that one patient friend that you meet once a day, twice a day, once a week, or even once a month, as the case may be, that feeds you with words of wisdom and even sometimes can entertain you. And yes, that friend, I mean a book. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys 6 books that gave me that aha moment from the books I read last year. And guys, please don't forget to like if you like the video and subscribe if you like type of content. Now, let's get into it. Now, the first book in this lineup is The One Thing by Gary Keller. Now, even by the name, The One Thing, this book actually talks about how in our lives we can focus on a lot of things that lead us potentially nowhere. And this book helped me to really think about what is that one thing that would actually move the needle and just focus on that. Because in life, there are many things that we can be doing that honestly is a waste of time. And it's just like that one thing that you could do that eventually just changes everything. And there was one quote in the book that really stuck to me. He said that the problem is not that there is not enough time in the day to do what we need, but actually we try to do a lot of things with the time we do have. And in the book, he further actually went down to talk about the 6 lies that we tell ourselves about success. And when we go about believing these lies, we can sabotage ourselves. And the first lie was that everything matters equally. Now, we clearly lie to ourselves that every single thing that we're doing is important. But while in essence, it's not. Only few things actually do matter in this world, right? And sometimes we delude ourselves thinking oh my God, me reading my email is actually as important as me actually sitting down and spending 4 hours doing actual work that produces results. And these are the kind of things we tell ourselves. Now, the second lie was the lie of multitasking. Now, multitasking in essence is basically you doing multiple things at the same time, right? Now, the lie we tell ourselves is that this is effective and me multitasking is me being more productive. While in essence, when we multitask, we're essentially focusing on one thing, but switching our attention from one thing to another really fast. And that is one of the most ineffective things that we can do. Because when we switch our attentions from one thing to another thing, there's some time spent to actually get into the thing that we're doing. And when we do not make room for that space to actually really get into what we are doing, we create a lot of inefficiencies as a byproduct of that switch. And we can delude ourselves into thinking that, oh my God, I'm multitasking, while in essence, we are actually reducing our effectiveness in doing tasks. One idea that I got from the book was that when we multitask, we are giving ourselves the chance to mess up in more than one thing. Now, another lie that was mentioned in the book was that the lie of a disciplined life. Now, can we deceive ourselves and stay oh my God, yeah, I'm gonna be disciplined, my willpower is is always on, I'm always on work mode, willpower, do everything with willpower, force. We can actually delude ourselves into that kind of mindset that, oh my God, to really be beast mode, we have to be disciplined and stuff like that. But actually, the main thing that we should work on are our habits. Now, the really effective people are people who have managed to build habits that actually help them be effective. Habits are basically the things that you do that are already automatic. Now, in the book, he made mention of the fact that what we should focus on instead is actually stacking up our habits. Because the really effective people, it may seem oh my God, these guys are disciplined and their willpower is always on 100% of the time. But in essence, they have managed to build habits that make it look oh my God, these guys are completely disciplined, but they are just running on auto, right? They are basically running on autopilot from the habits they've managed to inculcate over the years. And it may look as if, oh my God, that their willpower is 100%, but they are basically not even putting in any willpower. And the book actually made me understand that our willpowers are actually limited, right? Because it could vary in the course of a day. It could vary due to maybe emotional trauma or stress. It varies. Willpower is not always 100%. Okay, maybe some days you can be at your best and maybe like you can really exert a lot of willpower and like over the day, but like it's not really sustainable. What we should focus on is actually using a little amount of willpower to create a habit, make that thing a habit, and then move on to the next thing that is difficult, and then make it a habit, and then you stack up your habits, and over time, it's almost like you are this Shaolin monk, and like your life is like crazy discipline, but in essence, you're just running on autopilot. Now, another lie that was mentioned in the book was the lie of a balanced life. Now, actually, we can actually lie to ourselves that, oh my God, like we need balance. Without balance, like we need to have balance in everything that we do. But to really be a high achiever or to excel in anything, you have to deal with the extremes, right? Because to actually be really good at anything is to actually give that thing hours and hours of time and effort and dedication. And you can't really give those hours when you're so focused on the lie of balance. Now, I'm not saying balance is a bad thing, but like in the book, he made mention of to actually be a really high achiever at something. It's not really a question of should I go to the extremes or not. It's a question of how long are you going to be in those extremes. And another lie he spoke of in the book was the lie of big is bad, right? Now, actually, sometimes we can actually lie to ourselves that being the best or like achieving like extreme levels of results in an area is a bad thing. Like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my friends. Oh my God, I'm going to lose my family. Oh my God, like people are going to see me in a different way, right? But in essence, this is actually a lie that we tell ourselves. And actually, when we feed ourselves with these lies, that big is bad, we can actually inadvertently sabotage our efforts to actually even produce decent results. Not even like extreme results, but even decent results, because oh my God, we have this mindset or this lie that going big or being big in something is a bad thing. Now, this book is a multifaceted book, and like there were many ideas in this book, and like, but like this lies with the part of the book that really got to me. And also another part of the book that actually got to me was the concept of the focusing question. Now, this is the question that we should ask ourselves consistently to actually find that one thing. Now, you'll be wondering, what is this question? Now, this question is, what is the one thing that I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? Now, this right here is a focusing question that we should actually try and make it a habit that every single point in time, we're meant to ask ourselves this question to actually find that one thing that we can do that would make every other thing easier or unnecessary. Now, the next book in this lineup is The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F Word by Mark Manson. Now, actually, just by the title alone, right, you would think this book is actually going to teach you to be like an A-class bad person or a crappy person. But like, actually, like after reading the book, it actually gave me a really crazy stoic vibe. Like there was a really interesting concept which I read in the book was called the backward law. Now, this law was basically like when we fixate on something, or let's say when we are constantly desiring to be happy or desiring happiness, is actually when those things elude us the more. Because when you're so focused or your mind is fixated on the idea of, oh my God, I want to be happy, we can actually lose sight of the things that can actually make us happy, because we are so fixated on the desire or the idea of happiness that it's so much easier for happiness to elude us. Same thing with money. When we're like focused, oh my God, on the idea of money, oh money, we can actually, it's actually a whole lot easier we can even get broke just by having that kind of intense desire according to that law, right? The backward law. Like, because when we're so focused on having something, it's actually at that point that money eventually, or that thing, eludes us easily. I think this was even in the Bible, right? And I believe in the book of Proverbs, it says, labor not to be rich, because by so doing, money can like develop wings and fly away. Like, so like, honestly, like maybe I'm not sure if he knew this, but like while reading this concept, it was quite interesting to actually notice that when we're so focused and fixated on something, like it's a whole lot easier for that thing to just elude us. And there was another concept that he mentioned in the book was about the suffering and pains that we experience in life, right? And he made mention of the fact that pain and suffering is an inescapable thread of life and is actually basically impossible to rip out that thread from life, because honestly, we are either about to begin a problem, we're either already in a problem, or we're either already leaving a problem. So like, problems in life, even rich people have problems, right? Rich people have rich people problems, and poor people have poor people problems. Maybe a poor person's problem is like maybe thinking of what they're going to eat the next day. A rich person's problem is basically thinking that, oh my God, I need to do things that will make sure I still have this money. They are both different things or different problems, but nonetheless, they are still problems, and struggles and pain is a basic fabric of life, and trying to run away from it is basically impossible, and you are basically wasting your time trying, but rather accepting the fact that problems and challenges will come, but like, hey, just take it like a man. Now this is paraphrasing it, like this is me paraphrasing like the ideas of this book. Now the final concept from this book which really like stuck with me was that like, this was basically the nutshell of the book, right? Now, the subtle art of not giving an F word is actually you not giving an F word to everything in life or to anything, but actually you reserving your F words to things that actually do matter. Now, I didn't really say this point exactly as the book put it, but like, for the sake of sanity on this channel, yeah, I decided to put it that way, but I think you get the point. Now, the next book on this lineup was Ikigai by Hector Garcia and Francesc Miralles. Now, this book was quite interesting to me in the sense that it talked about a really interesting concept to me, which was longevity, right? Long life, like living long. And now, this book was basically derived from a study that was done from a tribe in Okinawa, Japan, and they were actually basically called the Okinawans. Now, what was so special about this group of people was the fact that that tribe happened to be located in a blue zone. Now, what is a blue zone? A blue zone is an area on the planet which has a really high concentration of individuals that are above the year 100 or who have passed 100 years of living on this planet, right? And they really went down into the way of life of the Okinawans, right? Like they broke down their diets, like, and the whole concept or the idea of Ikigai. Now, Ikigai is a concept of actually living life with more purpose and more drive and passion, right? And actually, I made a video about this concept of Ikigai, and I think you might really find it interesting if you're really interested in this idea. And yeah, and the next book on this lineup is What It Means to Become a Shepherd by Bishop Dag Heward-Mills. Now, this is a Christian book. Now, I read a few Christian books last year, but like this one actually stuck out from the rest in the sense that, like, should I say, it really opened my mind. I mean, because it really, sometimes we can be so bogged down, oh my God, like, I want to live right. I mean, I want to try and like do good with God. I want to like try my best to pray every day or like read my Bible, or I mean, just do right with God and stuff, right? But like, it really opened my mind to the fact that, I mean, in our process to actually try and do right, in that journey, we can actually look back and also help other people work that same path that we're actually trying to walk on. I mean, it's a really difficult struggle to actually try and be like a really good Christian, like biblical version of Christianity, not what we have nowadays, but like actually trying to be a decent Christian, right? A good Christian. And like, I mean, during our walk or during our journey, like there are people along the way who just a little word of encouragement can actually literally change their lives for the better. Like somebody who is like in a really bad place, just that word of comfort or encouragement can actually really go a long way. And like, it really opened my eyes to the fact that like, even if it may look as if like, I mean, in our Christian journeys, we're not really doing anything, but like, even with the little that we're actually doing, it can actually literally change another person's life. Now that concept and that idea was what really got to me from the book. And like, there are many ideas in that book, but like, yeah, I mean, if you want to read it, I mean, it's really interesting. Yeah, it's a really good read. And the next book on the lineup is The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. So those of you who are new to like angel investing, or like, should I say the tech world or the tech space, Naval Ravikant is an angel investor in Silicon Valley. Now he is actually one of the best in the game, and also, as luck will have it, he's also one of the most influential like content creators on Twitter that I know. Right now, this guy's Twitter handle is a treasure trove of wisdom, right? To the extent that This book, The Almanac of Naval is basically a compilation of his tweets. Like, how can you make a book from tweets? But like, honestly, like, reading that book was like the part on that book that actually really got to me was the part about wealth creation, right? And like the way he broke down wealth creation, like this was, I mean, I've been hearing about wealth creation and stuff like that, but like this guy actually gave it, honestly, this is why I actually love books. You get to like enter the mind of like the author, right? And actually this book was compiled by Eric Jorgensen from Naval Suite, and like basically everything was basically Naval, but like Eric Jorgensen actually put in the effort and the work to compile all of his ideas. Now he broke down the concept about like money, like the whole idea about money. He broke down the concept about how the way our world has changed from a permission society into a permissionless society, and like how we can actually make money without taking any permission from anyone. He made mention about the concept about leverage and like using specific knowledge to your advantage and like being accountable and actually making wealth. And honestly, like this concept, I mean, I should really make a video about this book because there are a lot of, there's a wealth of knowledge to be gotten from this book, and like time will not permit me to do it. But like if you're really into like wealth creation and like entrepreneurship and like, he even went down a step further to talk about happiness and like philosophy and like, and if you're really into like philosophy and like happiness, I think you may find this book like really, really interesting. The next book on this lineup is Essentialism by Greg McNewan. Now, this book, Essentialism, is actually quite similar to The One Thing, but it's actually, should I say, they both have similar ideas of like taking out the things that are useless and like focusing on one thing. But like the book Essentialism like really took it a step further into like breaking down what it truly means to be an essentialist. Now, this book actually like dove into like the psychologies of being an essentialist and also the psychology of being a non-essentialist. And it also like showed us steps to actually be an essentialist in our lives, in our daily lives, and also to prevent a potential danger of actually ruining our lives to become an essentialist. Because in our cause or in our bid to want to be essential in our lives, we can actually unknowingly or inadvertently take out the essential part of being human. This book is really deep. I actually made a video about it, and yeah, if this idea of essentialism really is interesting to you, yeah, you can just click on the video somewhere on the screen, and like you can understand more about this concept of essentialism and being an essentialist. And guys, question of the day: if you have books that you read in the year 2021 that really gave you that aha moment, please put it on the comments below. And guys, if you like this video, please like, and if you like some of the content, please subscribe, and remember to always keep it real. And guys, if you like this video, you may like a video somewhere on the end screen, like, yeah, I think you may find it interesting also. And yeah, thank you so much for your time. Bye.